Welcome to the Slide Getting Tech Simplified channel. I'm continuing the Women in Tech series, and today I got a special guest. It's Katia Dean, and she's going to rock you with her background, her experiences, and I can't wait for you to hear her background. So, Katia, will you please talk to my audience and tell you how you got started?
Yes, hi everyone. So my name is Katia Dean, the voice of Cyber Pros, and I built my personal brand off of LinkedIn. So shout out to my LinkedIn people out there. And how I got started in my career, a little background. I have my undergrad in electronic engineering, and then I have my master's in cybersecurity technology. And normally when I tell people my story, I don't have the typical, I was interested in science and math was one of my best subjects. Those two were actually my worst subjects. And I was a person that I just always struggled all the time in math. I had to repeat math a few times, but I just knew that with hard work and actually getting help along the way within my career, I was able to succeed in both of my degrees. And now I'm currently a system engineer / program manager where I help the government in some major projects.
Oh, that's fantastic. And I think you said something that's really critical there, because for myself, when I was in college, I took calculus twice. I had to resign it once, and then I took it and I got like a C-, and I tried my best. I'm like, come on, right? But you're right. I put a little bit more time. I changed my study habits. I made it a little bit. I got better habits, I realized, and I never became the best at math, but I got a lot better to help me thrive in my career now. I think sometimes I find people who get a little bit discouraged if they don't, they're not good at math, so they don't even try to go into tech. So I think you said something really cool right there. So thanks for sharing that. No problem. Question for you. How did you get to your first position? And what was the kind of journey to get there? I know you kind of mentioned it a little bit. Can you give us some more context?
Yeah, so for my first role, I actually was a system test engineer, and I'm originally from Cleveland, Ohio. And when I got my undergrad in engineering, I was thinking, you know what? It shouldn't be hard for me to find a job. I have my engineering degree. It should be a piece of cake. Ooh, I was wrong. So I had to actually relocate to Maryland, where my dad lived. And it was a small town. I call it Boondock Land to this day. So a city girl having to relocate to a small town. I didn't know anyone. It was just him. And I was still struggling when I got there the first 2 months. And how I actually ended up getting my system test engineer position at Northrop Grumman is that my dad had introduced me to an engineer. She was around my age, and she was Black, by the way. And I actually networked with her.
Yeah.
And she had actually, she previously had worked at Northrop Grumman. She said, hey, Katia, you know what? I think I'll be able to help you get this position at Northrop Grumman because I had the role before. And I talked to her for a little bit, interviewed with her, make sure that I understood what the role was. And I still would struggle a little bit, and I had to find a job real fast. So I ended up going to Best Buy for a short period of time. Mm-hmm. And the story behind this is that the hiring manager for that role at Northrop Grumman, he actually had observed the way I was interacting with the clients at Best Buy. And I had got a text message. Well, actually rung him out. I said, I didn't know he was the manager. I actually rung him out, told him have a nice day. And before he left, he said, tell Lauren I said hi. And I said, okay. And next thing I know, I looked at my phone and she said, you got the job. Yeah. And I said, wait, what do you mean I got the job? So she said, he observed you interacted with the customers and that's how you got the job. So my first job, engineering position, networking, and behold, the manager saw me at Best Buy interacting with people.
That was a great story, Katia. I have a similar story. So I got started in college with a degree in business, and then I focused on information technology and marketing, fusing them together, right? So I had the gift of gab, as you can tell, but I'm a nerd, man. I've been fixing computers, internets, fixing my friends, viruses, and everything, fixing their computers and everything. So, this is like heaven sent. So when I came out of school, you couldn't tell me I wasn't getting a 6-figure job. No, that was not to be. It was not for me. So I went back to Brooklyn from Buffalo, and I still have the spreadsheet. I applied to 70 jobs. I got 70 no's. I'm like, I can't be this bad. Something got to be wrong. So, I redid my resume. I did everything. Still wasn't getting any hits. So then I ended up taking an unpaid internship at the Office of Emergency Management as like a help desk / network engineer. It was great. I didn't make any money for it. But I got to work I worked like 12 hours, some days, 8 hours. I got to learn how to redo networks. I learned how to re-provision desktops, the patch panels. I went into repurposing like BlackBerry devices and creating like a whole project program. And I think the key thing that you also said, that I got me an actual connection with 4 to 5 different engineers that they all wrote me recommendations when I left that internship. And that helped me get my first job as a help desk rep. Actually, it was a tech support rep at Ingram Micro, right? So very similar. And I only made $15 an hour when I went there. So I graduated with a degree. I moved back from Brooklyn to Buffalo to take $15 an hour. My parents thinking I'm crazy. They're like, you could have worked at McDonald's and made $15 an hour. But I told my parents, I'm like, well, they're going to give me my certifications for free. So what I'm going to do is hunker down, swallow my pride for a minute, learn as much as I can. Because for those of you who don't know who Ingram Micro is, it's one of the biggest IT distributors, right? So they sell everything from Microsoft to Google to FireEye to Cylance. You name it, they selling it. And the vendors come in and they train us for free. So I just took all the certifications, and that was the best thing I ever did. But it was humbling because I could have easily pivoted and thought tech wasn't for me. I just found another way in. So I'm glad that you shared that story. So I guess one thing I would ask you then is, and what you know now, and what would you do earlier? What would you share with yourself if you could, with Katia earlier in her career, all the experience that you have now?
That's a good question. And the crazy part is I wouldn't change anything because without all the struggles, I wouldn't go as hard as I do now. Mm-hmm. As I just mentioned before, mm-hmm. I know that I wanted to go into some type of engineering or tech related stuff because I was very analytical.
Yeah.
But I just knew like math and science was my best thing. And I said, what? I'm just going to get through it. Mm-hmm. I had a similar story too. I repeated calculus, I think 3 times.
Yeah.
And I had to repeat DFQ, differential equations, twice. Yeah. And the interesting thing is, I don't even use that math today in none of my jobs. Yeah. But I say that to say, keep going. Yes, it will. I mean, it will be some long nights. You're going to cry a lot, want to give up. Yeah. But at the end of the day, that light is going to be at that tunnel. You're going to survive. You're going to make it. So I honestly wouldn't change anything different. I still do the same thing.
Yeah, same here. Like, the struggles helped me out as well. And I found like I didn't even take differential equations. I don't know what the heck that is. But I remember from one of my jobs, I had to learn like Calc 2. So I went back, started learning it on my own. Like the cool thing is I'm one of those people who are going to outwork you. So even though I got the raw, maybe the aptitude up front, I don't mind putting the time in because I realize it's just time and how I'm using my mind. I'm more of a creative person in general. So sometimes when you have to get deep into the analytics, my mind is not used to working that way. It's like right brain, left brain, right? So I just realized I got to repractice it. I got to incorporate new study habits. Like I started creating study guides and then daily progress reports to know if I'm progressing or not, right? But the answer, like to keep it back on track, is I wouldn't change anything. And then I don't think I would have, I guess what I would have told myself is to continue to keep your head down and move through it, right? And these setbacks that I'm looking at it are just so small speed bumps. They really don't matter in the grand scheme of things. No one asked me the 6 months it took me to find a job after school. They don't ask me about that anymore because my experience no longer needs to talk about it anymore, right? But for me, that was like a really big situation because I went from being on my own in college, coming back to sleeping on my brother's couch, right? For a minute, so I could figure it out and feeling that doubt creeping into my mind. Like, man, how did I graduate college? I can't find a job, but I just keep telling myself that, yeah, better days are ahead. And just to keep moving forward. And don't let this discourage you. So if you're in that point right now where you don't know if you should keep going forward, I'm telling you, if you stay the course, continue to learn, continuing to develop your skills and network. I think that's what one thing we both said is building that strong network. You'll be in a better place for tomorrow. It may take a little bit more time, but it's definitely will be worth it. So another question I want to ask you is, how do you seek out mentorship and sponsorship? Like, how do you go about doing that?
So for mentors, I always tell people that find a mentor that is in the role you see yourself in. I'll give you an example. Everybody see me on LinkedIn sharing my stories, and a lot of people ask, "Oh, Katia, can you be my mentor?" And I normally ask, well, what side of cybersecurity do you want to be on? Mm-hmm. Someone could say, "Oh, I really want to be in digital forensics." That's great. However, I cannot be your mentor because I don't know anything about digital forensics. That's not my area of expertise. Yeah. I don't even know where to start. However, I can direct you to some resources or someone else that's a digital forensics analyst, examiner, whatever their job title is, and possibly they could be your mentor. So for anyone out there that's looking for a mentor, you actually have to look for someone that's in the path you want to go down, and then you being a mentee, you also have to put in the work. It's not just give. Like, you also have to put in the work as well to actually see results.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I think one thing that you didn't say, but that I caught there is the person got to know where they want to go, right? People come to me like, "Hey, Sly, man, I want you to mentor me." I'm like, "So what you want to do?" "I want to be in tech." I'm like, "What you want to do in tech?" "I don't know. Can you tell me?" I'm like, "Well, what you like to do? Like, where would you find yourself spending your time at? In school, what was your favorite subject?" Like, I could tell you telecommunications was my favorite subject. Read that book twice, without anyone telling me. I was just up all night learning about networking, right? I just enjoyed it. I can't tell you why I enjoyed it. I can tell you I did not like operations. I did not like my accounting class. I knew it was important. I can tell you, I definitely don't want to do that. So I like, start there. Know what you want to do. Be intentional with what you want. Because very similar. I want to go into people management, right? So one of my mentors is a director. A few of my mentors are directors, CEOs, and those things, because they had to lead teams. I'm naturally a tech. I look at, I like playing, knowing the ins and outs, playing with the different gadgets, but that's different when you be a people manager. How do I motivate Katia, right? What brings you joy? How do I motivate you to get your job done? Or how do I let you do what you do and just give you the vision? How do I communicate better? Whether that's verbally or written, to make sure that you know what's expected of you, so that you're happy and you're getting those things. So those things I don't have experience yet because I haven't done it yet, right? But then I got mentors who helped me there. So you're right. And also just realize, I think what you said already, it's a partnership, right? You got to come correct every day. If I'm giving you this time, or if you're giving them that time, you got to respect that person's time, and they got to respect your time as well, because you got something to share too. Because sometimes a lot of my older mentors don't know how to use social media, and I'm pretty good at, LinkedIn and all those things. So I just teach them that. I teach them how to use online branding, what tools they can use, how they can automate things, or how they can outsource things like through Fiverr and other those things. Find a way that you can provide value in other ways and make the person that you're reaching out to also benefiting from being in your presence. So I guess you kind of touched on this already, is what drives you?
That's a good question too. Everything. No. No, what drives me? It's funny, my mother say that I'm a person that I'm very goal oriented, mm-hmm. but she said I take it to the extreme. Mm-hmm. I'll give you an example now.
Yeah.
So one of my examples is I have been in the government space for about 6.5 years now. And in June of this year, I said, you know what? I want to get out. I'll call it getting out.
Yeah.
I said, you know what? I want to get out.
Mhm.
So what do I have to do to get out?
Yeah.
So I realized I have a very creative mindset. Like my mind is, I have like a lot of ideas,
Mhm.
or I'm finding new information about certain things, and I'm like, oh, it's companies out here that do this stuff. Like I just need to find different companies because my mind could actually be used over at this company versus where I'm at right now, where it's very restricted. I can't do what I want to do.
Yeah.
So I'm a person. I'm very strategic, and we talked about this a little bit, but we're going to go a little bit deeper. Job
Yeah.
searching.
Yeah.
Anyone that's job searching, you have to have a strategy.
Mhm.
I do not care what you do, you have to have a strategy.
Mhm.
And the reason why is because without a strategy, you're going to find yourself applying to 140 jobs really fast and not getting anywhere. Now, my approach to job searching is that I have a strategy. So for me, I knew that I had to revamp my whole resume. I'm not in the government. I'm in the government space, so they speak a different lingo. Now I want to get out the government, so now I had to revamp my resume. I had to eliminate any government lingo because the commercial side is not going to know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I also had to change my mindset, how I interview, because I'm very used to talking about a government program I support because I'm used to talking to government people. Outside, they don't know that. So I had to interview with other people. I also interview with employees that work at the companies that I'm interested in. And for anyone out there, this is a great strategy as well because interviewing someone that's at the company, you get to get, I'll call it the tea at the company
Yeah.
because now everyone is at home. So they are a little bit more relaxed.
Mhm.
So you get the tea if you interview someone from the house.
Yeah.
I mean, from home now.
Yeah.
And that's my strategy as well.
Mhm.
And also defining industries.
Mhm.
So I tell people wherever industry you're in, you're going to live and breathe that industry, I call it. For
Yeah.
instance, currently, my industry is the government space, defense space. That's basically all I know.
Yeah.
However, now in my side, look, my other life,
Yeah.
my side life, like currently I invest in crypto.
Yeah.
Now I went down the NFT rabbit hole
Mhm.
right now. So I'm actually finding companies that have crypto.
Mhm.
I'm looking at apps that I use every day. Like, okay, let me see what type of tech roles are at these companies, like these products that I use every single day. They meet my skill set. So having a job strategy, you will be more successful. And once again, as we were talking, networking is important as well, because depending on who you talk to, you might be able to get a referral. Now,
Yeah.
the referral might not get you the job per se, but it might get you closer to getting an interview
Yeah.
versus just applying to the ATS system.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to touch on that.
Now that was great because you talked about what drives you is being strategic and being purposeful with everything you do, and then how you implement that, and like just searching for jobs, being like throughout the whole process. So you shared a lot of gems there. So thank you for sharing that. And I can tell you the same thing. When I first started, I think I shared I applied for 70 jobs. When I go back and look at the list, I'm like, ESPN? Why do I want to work at ESPN? Like, why would I want to do this job? Then I look at all these jobs I didn't want, right? But I never spent the time to figure out what would be good for me. What skills do I have to bring to the table? Why should they even hire me? What do I want my day to look like? So then I found out, I like more, talking to the people. So I got away from being a network engineer when I'm in a data center by myself into more jobs where I still get to an architect. I get to build out the solutions, talk to the customer, define the strategy, and I still get to learn my tech chops. I get to learn about it, right? But I'm in an area that's good for me, So you're right, they're being more strategic. So like, for my passion is, it changes. My main passion is I just love learning. I know it's cheesy, it's corny. I'm a nerd. I wear it like an honor. I like to read. I like to learn, and tech you always got to keep learning, or you become a dinosaur real quick, So like the stuff I came in with, like VMware, I had a VCP5. It doesn't even matter. I think it's up to like 8 or 9 now, right? Like everything I used to know is obsolete, but I had to keep learning and keep growing. So that's one thing. And now that I'm a little bit older and I got a family now my family, my wife and my daughter and my son that's on the way, those are what motivate me every day, because especially the next generation, my parents didn't have the same opportunity where I'm sitting right now. So it's up to me to show them that, myself and my wife, to show them that the things that they can achieve, right? The doors that's open. And that's one of the reasons why I even started this channel, is to meet wonderful ladies like yourself who continue to go get, so my daughter can understand that she could thrive as an engineer. It might be tough, but there's multiple ways to get there. Or if she wants to do something completely different, right? So that's what drives me and my passion to keep me, this is 8 o'clock, man. It's like right now, man, it's after work. I don't got to do this, but this is important. The next generation is important. Sharing your story is important, because you can help so many people with our stories. And those are some things that I didn't get growing up in Brooklyn, being a first generation American. My family from Barbados. We didn't have all these stories readily available. So I wanted to put more of those stories out there to the world, So that goes into something that I think we just touched on, but I think we can go a little bit deeper. What obstacles did you face coming into the tech world, even though you had an engineering background and you're qualified? Did you face any challenges?
Yes. I faced a lot of challenges. So a lot of challenges is, but I know about this earlier on. So in my engineering classes, I was the only girl. I was also the only Black female most of the time. So I was a little prepared for when I got my real job. I call it my big girl job. When I made it to the real world. And all of my jobs, I think up until now, I still was the only female, Black, and also young as well.
Yeah.
So normally we all face it all the time. You work with people that's more experienced than you.
Yeah.
And sometimes people just make you feel like you don't know anything because they're more experienced than you. However, I have noticed being in different work environments, it's not that you don't have the years of experience. I say it's your mindset.
Correct.
So a lot of people I call older people seasoned. So a lot of people that's seasoned than you, sometimes they have I call it a closed mindset. So they probably not open to learning more or learning. As you mentioned before, you like to learn a lot. Someone probably has been doing the same job for 30 years.
Yep.
And within that 30 years, they never learned anything else.
Yep.
All they did was they went to work, job, that's it. They didn't learn anything else. So hypothetically speaking, let's just say they lose their job one day. You don't have any new skills. What skills are you going to display for this new company or position that you're trying to get?
Yeah.
Because your skills are technically obsolete. But one obstacle I did face that, and I share my story because I actually ended up writing my ebook, is that, and I hear this often, and it's half true. So a lot of people say, when you get a job at tech, you're always going to have a job.
Yeah.
That's half true. And the reason why is because I found myself unemployed for 9 months. I had 2 degrees, 2 STEM degrees. So as I mentioned before, a bachelor's in electronic engineering and a master's in cybersecurity technology. So you would think, I have 6 years of experience. I have 2 degrees. I'm good.
Yeah.
No. I was still struggling to find another job. And it was crazy. But I learned a lot during that time. I called that it happened in 2018 through 2019. I called that my year of patience and my reflection period as well. Because during that time, I learned about the hiring process. I learned about how recruiters didn't actually know how to recruit for the roles that they were recruiting for.
Yeah.
I had to learn about the different requirements for a job and how if you don't do your research on your own, you're just going to accept what they say. Give you an example. Even though I have a cybersecurity degree, I'm on the non-technical side of cybersecurity. So I handle program management, project management, and that's on the non-technical side.
Yeah.
And within the government space, one of the requirements, you're supposed to have a security plus because that's one of the check marks.
Mm-hmm.
However, anytime I was talking to a recruiter, I would say, I don't need a security plus for a program analyst job or a program manager job because I'm not going to utilize that cert.
Yep.
And which I didn't, like, at all. And I would tell each recruiter that each time. I'm schooling you too. It's a two-way street.
Yeah.
I'm schooling you as well. And I finally got off my 9-month hiatus, which was, once again, this is why building your brand or building your brand is important as well. I was on LinkedIn sharing my story, which I ended up writing blogs, and I established my website as well.
Mm-hmm.
And all the people that followed me was up on my story, what was going on. I shared the hiring process, what I learned, some solutions behind the hiring process as well. I just didn't complain. I had solutions as well. And at this particular time, I had about a month, like literally a month left before I was going to lose my apartment and have to move back to Cleveland. And I said, I am not doing that. So my last shot was I had shared my resume on LinkedIn. I gave a very detailed, thorough post about what I already did on my job search, what I do not have time for, and this is my deadline. Posted my resume, let it fly. I think I had 30,000 views, a whole bunch of shares. And in my comment section, a guy I didn't know from a can of paint, he commented, he said, "Hey, Katia, my job is hiring. Send over your resume." Sent over my resume. I had the interview Wednesday. They gave me the job offer that Thursday, and I was off unemployment for 9 months.
Yeah.
So I wanted to share that story to say, yes, you can find yourself unemployed, but you have to have a strategy as well. Yes, it's going to be hard. Yes, you are going to cry. You are going to say, what is wrong with me? I just want you to know it's not you. It is not you. Because I was like that too, but it is not you.
Yeah.
It's not you. So as I always say, wipe your tears in your job search. Please I always say, take a power, I call them power naps. Take a power nap because the job will still be there.
Yeah.
A few hours later, just take a nap, refresh your brain, and then go back to your job search again, or redefine your job search. Even now in my job search, I look over each month what I did. Mm-hmm. And I said, okay, what do I have to do different? Mm-hmm. Or maybe the company didn't have the role that I was looking for in this month, but I still have that relationship I built with the recruiter, and I can still reach back out to them. Hey, you know what? I found this role that I have a skill set for. Let's talk about this role. So I just wanted to share that story.
Now, that was a great story in terms of just your perseverance, right? And how you built a brand off of just sharing your experiences, a solution to experiences. And I can only imagine that a lot of people probably shared a similar sentiments or similar story to you. They connected with you. So you probably empowered other people to make it through their dark times to get to the end. So I applaud you for doing that, because that takes courage to share your story, to own it, right? And then also, I guess you had a clear vision that this was going to happen and you did something about it. So I'm glad everything worked out, and it didn't work out. You're thriving now, right? So I'm glad you're thriving and continuing to define yourself and redefine yourself in each and every day. So that's solid, right? That's one of the reasons why, I started my YouTube channel, right? I started my YouTube channel because actually I started because I kept getting the same questions. Sometimes as a sales engineer, system engineer, you get the same level 100 questions. And I was like, man, I'm tired of answering this. I'll make a video about it. And then I realized the video was terrible. Like, you go back to my first video, absolutely horrible, but people loved it. I had like 500 views. I didn't even know how to do hashtagging or any of that stuff to make it stick. I didn't know how to do anything at that time, but it worked. And I kept doing it. Then people kept asking about your slide. That was really helpful. Can you do a video on this? So I kept doing it and doing it. And the good thing about it, I ended up getting hired by at that time I was working at Ingram Micro at RSA because I did a video on the engineer that is the VP of engineering. He's like, man, this video is better than all the ones. We got 100 people that can create that video. How you create that video by yourself? I'm like, I don't know. I just put it out there, So I ended up getting my first job that way. Like I didn't get money from YouTube, but I ended up getting like a $50,000 pay increase. I'm like, hold up, this is crazy. So I kept doing my videos, and just keep building a brand. And then I got a director role again, but that role I ended up finding out I didn't want to be in product marketing. I can market. I like marketing my own stuff. I like marketing for a larger corporation. If you get too much red tape, you don't get as much creative freedom. So I went back to sales engineering. And then that was fun. So I got more time to work on making more videos. And the same thing happened. Microsoft, I knew one of the guys, my network, he, put in the word for me. The manager, like, I already saw your YouTube channel, so I know you're technical. So do you fit the team, right? So again, that brand, helped me get paid even more and get me into another realm. And I don't say that to brag. I say that to, like, this is my portfolio. So if you're in tech and you're struggling, make a portfolio. If you're a network engineer, talk about configuring networks and how you would do it. If you got a switch at home, configure the switch. If you're good with cloud, go on cloud, get a free account, configure that, show them that you can do it so they don't have to guess if you can do it. Because if you look at it from a business, it costs so much money to onboard a person. So they got to get it right? Because it costs too much to have to redo it again. So how can you take away any doubt that you can do something? And that's kind of what I did here. If they want to know if I'm good at speaking with diverse set of people, just look at my Woman in Tech series. If they want to know if I can get deep, look at my technical videos. You can just see that I don't get as deep probably as some people that go to like level 1,000, but you can see I can get fairly deep if I need to. You can see that I can communicate writtenly. I even got a team. Like I don't do this by myself, editing and outsourcing certain things. So I got to be good at delegating, right? Those are skills that I get to tell them about during there. And that's a differentiator. A lot of people don't have that, right? So that's my thing. Like I don't have 2 degrees. Like if me, you put you together, you're more technical than I am, and you got more math experience than I am, right? But I got to use what I realize in life. I got to use my gifts. And those are one of my gifts, what I'm able to do and the skills I like to do, So thanks for sharing that. I think that was really powerful. One thing I didn't ask you about it, but I want everyone to make sure. Can you talk about the services? Because I'm pretty sure the reason why you touch on a lot of these career hacks and career tips is, don't you offer like resume writing services, interview prep? And didn't you get like almost like 100 people like jobs or something ridiculous? I know you've been doing. So can you talk a little bit about what you do on the side?
I mean, I ain't want to brag too much, no. But yeah, so I have a resume business that's called KatiasCylife. It's KatiasCylife, and where you can find it is KatiasCylife.tech. And my resume business, I focus on cybersecurity professionals. If you are a student or you just graduated recently or within a year, and also boot camp students, I have a package. If you are transitioning from a different industry, let's just say healthcare, the banking industry, heck, even a firefighter, transitioning to tech, I have a package for you. If you are cyber IT and you just want to pivot into a different area within cyber, I have a package for you as well. And then I also offer interview prep when as needed. And then I also, after my services, I provide resources after. So I give you all a LinkedIn guide, cybersecurity guide, and then a template on how to reach out to recruiters. It's basically a cold message that I currently use that I have been very successful with getting interviews this year. This template will at least get you an interview. It's great. Very simple, straight to the point. And I'm so proud of myself because this year and counting, I have successfully 59 people. Whoop, whoop. 59 people for 2021. Yeah. And that's just based off my resume services. I always tell people it's my resume services. Most of my clients do the job searching themselves. Mm-hmm. I don't normally offer job searching services because honestly, that takes a lot of energy, a lot of energy. But my resume services and the resources I provide after has helped my clients be successful. And also, I don't just leave you hanging after the services is done. You can always reach back out to me, especially if you still struggling to find a job and you can't just figure out what. So now I really have to help you with your job strategy. Like, what are you actually doing? Hopefully you're not just applying, but sometimes that's the case. And I have to reel people back in and let them know, okay, first we have to have a strategy. This is what you need to do. Try this, see if it works. If not, let's go back to the drawing board. So I have been very successful with that. And as you mentioned before, just building my online presence. I also want to touch on this as well, because we didn't touch on this, because I find this to be an excuse as well. A lot of people say that they're an introvert, and sometimes that's why they don't like to network. I'm an introvert as well, even though I talk up a storm. Even though I talk up a storm, but I know how to turn it on and turn it off. So don't use that excuse, I'm an introvert, for not networking. Just learn how to turn it on, turn it off. That's all you have to do. And everything now is online, virtual. You have, if you don't like to be on video, audio. We have Clubhouse, Twitter Spaces, whatever else they come out with. So go out there, be yourself. And get to network.
That, I think that was great, man. So if you're out there, if you're looking for resume services, please contact her, man. And before we go today, because this has been a great conversation, how can the audience contact you?
Yeah, they could contact me on Twitter at KatiasCylife. You can also follow me on LinkedIn, just Katia Dean. And then for resume services, KatiasCylife.tech. And then also subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is just KatiasCylife.
Fantastic. Well, until next time, Sly Gittins and Katia are out. Peace.